Emotional immaturity is a person that always blames the other person. It's a person that doesn't accept responsibility about their problems in their life. It's a person that is constantly trying not to find solutions. It is simply a person that cannot give validation to the other person. It's a person that can usually have a lack of empathy. There can be a one-sided perspective. They can be usually inside of their ego. It's a person that gets angry. It's a person that gets defensive. It's several different things. And most people that do that don't understand the reason why they're doing it. They do not understand that there's something inside of them that they're missing back in their childhood. And as an adult right now, it's revisiting them in order to get them to see what it is that they're getting triggered about, and to be able to address that and find a solution to it. A lot of breakups would stop becoming breakups if people would become much more emotional, available to people, and emotionally resilient. And actually, a lot of problems in relationships do not happen because of communication issues, but rather than emotional regulation, because people cannot regulate themselves. Now, we're not here to blame anyone, and we all need to understand that the way people behave is based on perhaps how they were raised in an environment. Perhaps they had a parent that was non-regulating, and they managed to see that those behaviors are constantly fine. They might be making changes. They might be doing 1,000 things. But we all need to know that the way that we respond to people is the way somewhere that we picked up in our environment. And everyone is struggling with their own shit. So we need to give a lot of grace to people. The problem is not that people are making things that are triggering other people. The problem is when people are not in a position to understand how another person may be suffering and how they're also contributing to that other person's suffering. They are giving them a gift, absolutely, because they're the mirror. But if you're with a partner that you chose to be married with, to be committed to, you need to understand that you need to be able to find a common ground with your partners. The reason why you got into a relationship with that person in the beginning is because you thought that person was your match. If that person was not your match, you need to understand that they were placed in your life to get you to understand a lot of things about yourself and the other person, vice versa. If your partner is constantly frustrated with you, upset with you, and you are still frustrated with that and you do not seem to find a solution, you need to understand that part of you there is failing to understand and validate another person's experience. You are only looking at people through a one-sided perspective. You do not have the empathy to be able to be much more clearer to see another person's point of view. You have not lived to what they lived through, and they haven't either. So that's why they're not understanding you. And until you make that clear to yourself, that nobody in this world would have had the same experience that you have had, you're never going to get to prosper relationships. Because what is needed in this world is more people understanding that everyone is unique, everyone is different, and nobody can think the way that you're thinking. And people are allowed to be thinking the way that they want to be thinking. Now, if you want to input something in there, there's no problem. But the moment you try to invalidate someone's experience about how they're feeling, that is the biggest mistake that you can do, because you are selfish in that regard. You are not accepting the other person for who they are. Now, if you truly love a person, you surely want to see them flourish. If you're in a relationship and you're not allowing a person, each other, to be flourishing, what the hell are you doing? Why are you even in that relationship? There's something wrong there. Can't you see that? Can't you see that it's also your contribution, not only a one-party road? It takes two parties that are equally important, but perhaps both of you are pulling each other's strings. Both of you are not cooperating with each other. Both of you are not having teamwork within this relationship. So both need to understand what role each one plays. The way that a person responds is very crucial. And if a relationship can be resolved, it can, but it takes two people that have some form of emotional intelligence to be able to understand that work needs to be done. Because I'm telling you, anywhere you try to go, if you do not have emotional intelligence, the next relationship is also going to suffer, and it's going to end not really nicely. You cannot get out of this. As much as you fantasize in your mind that there's this magical person out there that's going to give you exactly what it is that you need, this thing does not exist, right? And lots of people are reliving their fantasies, and they're romanticizing situations. Relationships, guys, unfortunately takes a lot of work, right? That's why we're here on earth. We're constantly having problems in which we have to learn to constantly have solutions. Now, if there's people in your life that have hurt you, you need to understand that that hurt needed to come. As disgusting as it sounds that I say, but if you do not get hurt, you do not know how to be able to change yourself. You're always going to be remaining stuck in the same situations. Sure, it was not needed to get hurt, but at the end of the day, look at what type of person you have become today. See, the only way that people change for the better is if they go through intense pain and suffering. It's the only way. So I hope you guys understand that you are responsible for regulating your emotions and understanding yourself, and understanding that the person across you is going to be triggering you. And it's up to you whether you want to discuss with that person, whether you would like to resolve the issues with that person. And also, in addition, let's also not forget not to be a people pleaser, because we also have to see a process if the actual person does want to put in the work. Because times and times again, usually a lot of people are in relationships where only one of the person is working and the other person is not contributing. But you cannot just say that the other person is not contributing if you have not offered your emotional talks with that person to actually, if they are wanting to do the work, right? Sometimes we make assumptions and we think that the other person doesn't want to put in the work just because of how we're feeling or how, we're taking that experience in. The only way to know is if you start having productive conversations about what you think about the relationship, or you think that it can head, and what can be done about it, and if the other person really wants to put in the work. If they do not want to put in the work, you're just wasting time. You guys don't have a lot of years on planet Earth. Unfortunately, we're all not gonna make it forever, right? And the whole point is to be able to make this life as comfortable as possible and in the best abilities that you can as a human being. Because life will be suffering, whether we like it or not, but we get to choose the person that we can suffer with. And that is really, really precious to know, that you are responsible for changing your life. You are responsible for making relationships work. So you are responsible for letting people go that are not for your highest good, and you are the one that's ultimately responsible how your life is going to be ending. So do not leave it onto other people. See where you're heading in life. See where they're heading in life. And if it's a match, if it's not a match, unfortunately, some relationships need to go. Nobody likes that, but sometimes evolution needs you to do that thing for your highest good. I do not enjoy breakups, and I don't think anybody enjoys breakups, but sometimes you need to let people go that are not there for the highest evolution of all. Not because they're bad people, but just because you guys might not be on the same page. And you need to be able to respect the person for what they brought in your life, and to give value to everything that they have brought into your life. And never hate on people. If you are still not understanding the lessons that people have brought into your life, you're losing the meaning of life, right? Because our relationships are what made us today. We are what we are because of all of those people in our lives, all those people that have hurt you, all those people that have mistreated you. This is where you are today because of all these people. And that people can be your parents, it can be your co-workers, it can be your friends, it can be your family, it can be just anyone that may have treated you so poorly. You are that person today because of that person. So if you think that people are not exactly where they're supposed to be, or people are not behaving the way that they're supposed to be, and you might be thinking that it's unjust, You need to know that people are doing exactly what they need to be doing, because that's the only way. You need to feel the pain in order to change something about what you were doing in the past that is no longer working for you. So that's why we need those experiences. But guys, doesn't mean that because we're going through pain means that we need to continue being with pain, right? If a person is really bad for us, if a person is extremely emotionally mature and there's nothing that can be done, if they're abusive, if they're terrible, you need to run as fast as you can, and you need to start healing yourself, and you need to start working on you before you ever get into a relationship. Because relationships help, but it's much better to be able to work on yourself a little bit, to know what it is that you want in relationships, to know what it is that you will accept, what it is that you will not accept before entering in a relationship. You need to know what it is that you need in a relationship. What are your non-negotiables? If you do not know that, you're just heading in a relationship out of mere luck, right? You're not aware of the relationship that you're going in. You need to be aware. So you need to know exactly what to look for in a person, right? Many people are just going faintly in relationships, sleeping. And ignorance is not a good thing.